Escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $500 million of debt. National Debt Relief has helped so many people they're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. You don't have to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan. You have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Reduce a large portion of your debt now. Call National Debt Relief at 800-797-5868. 800-797-5868. That's 800-797-5868.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Campbell here, serial entrepreneur. Sometimes we small business owners receive the ugly phone call. Mine came in my 4th year of business.
Hey Mike, it's Charlie, your printing press operator. I was drying our printing press rags at the laundromat and there's been an accident. The laundromat is on fire. I'm in a rescue squad truck heading to the hospital. The police said it's our fault and you have to come here right away.
I hung up the phone, sick to my stomach. Poor Charlie. Poor me. I was certain my business was over, but we survived. Now, 26 years later, Patriot Software helps small business owners avoid any ugly phone calls involving their payroll. We give free support with our payroll, which starts at just $10 a month. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
8:07, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and Jim Telemonte.
Inbound Eisenhower delays start at St. Charles. It's now 58 minutes, 390 to downtown, 45 from Wolf. Outbound 45 minutes to 390 with crash at 9th Avenue in the left lane. Eden's 20 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 34th. Kennedy running 50 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. No savings the Express. Outbound 35 minutes to the airport. Stevenson running 55 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Inbound Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Delays on the northbound Tri-State are 95th to the 83rd Street Tool, 75th to Ogden. Southbound it's heavy 120 to before 176 with a crash. Eastbound Reagan Tollway delays are 59 to Mill. Northbound Veterans Memorial from Fountain to the Reagan Tollway. I'm Jim Telemonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Clouds will stick around all day long, high 33, and cloudy again overnight, 25. Currently 31. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, and your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Hillary's got a hankering.
Ew, gross.
Get an urge.
I hate that word. Moist urge. What other words?
She sat down for a riveting interview with Variety to promo this Hulu documentary series on the life and times of Hillary.
Was it called Cankles? Oh, you know what? That's so rude. I can't believe you said that.
Outrageous. And she was asked about her urges.
I know that you're not running, but do you ever feel the urge that, like, I could beat him if I were? Or, like, I wish I, Yeah,
I certainly feel the urge because I feel like the 2016 election was really an odd time and an odd outcome. And the more we learn, the more that seems to be the case. But I'm going to support the people who are running now and do everything I can to help elect the Democratic nominee.
If Bernie gets a nominee, she's going to support him?
Could feel the urge.
Ew, stop.
Trump, feel the burn.
Oh.
For more on that, we're pleased to be joined by Jimmy Pethokoukis, CNBC contributor, columnist for the American Enterprise Institute. James, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
How about flaccid? That's kind of a bad word.
That is a bad word. No, that is one of those.
That's a very flaccid interview with Hillary as well, I thought.
Yes, it would have. The only way it would have been worse if she would pick a scab while giving the interview. Scab's another one. So
This is quality radio.
It really is.
And
it really
pus.
is.
Oh, you don't forget pus. Now that you're talking
that's-
about scabs.
Yeah, well, that's sure.
Oh,
yeah.
wait. Ready? I got a good one. Coronavirus. Oh.
That's why we have you on, James. Not for your
Yes.
economic insights, but so we can
No.
play fifth grade, cloakroom games.
And now that recess is over, let's focus.
So you have written about Bernie Sanders and what, if anything, he's learned over the past 50 years. It seems like he's learned a lot from the Sandinistas and from Castro and from the Soviets, and they're all contained in his economic plan.
Well, I mean, that really gets at it. Now, you would think that watching the events of the past 50 years, watching these sort of centrally planned socialist economies sort of fail place after place, that, listen, it may not turn him into a libertarian, but it certainly, I think, would shape his views in some way. And certainly, I think if I were interviewing Bernie Sanders, I would ask him about that. But is there any evidence that any of those things have shaped his view about why socialism, how it can work and not work, about the value of sort of markets and economy? I don't get any of that from Bernie Sanders. I get the impression that he had a 60s and a 70s and then kind of missed the 80s and 90s and everything after.
Wrong people in charge. That's the only problem. Wrong people in charge. Right people in charge.
Listen, he's been clear. He's not for a totalitarian state where you have no freedom. So he says, yes, you can vote and all that stuff. But as far as the economic part of it, he has had nothing bad to say about these countries. And to me, and like, how does he explain like why China had a very, very terrible economy and then kind of opened themselves up to trade and investment and allowed people to kind of make money, and the economy took off? He has no explanation.
Yeah, I'd love to actually hear. I don't know if anybody's ever asked him how it was that this place that was wondrous to him back when he and Jane were honeymooning with the very affordable puppet shows and the beautiful chandeliers, how that place collapsed. I'd love to hear his theory on that.
I have not found any sort of, and he's supposed to be kind of a thoughtful guy, the most important, like, socialist of the last half century. Nothing. What does he think happened? Was it the CIA? Did CIA bring down the Soviet Union? I don't think it was. I think it was a country that just ultimately could not work, and they ran out of money.
Are you getting antsy that he might win the Iowa caucuses, which are this Monday?
I will tell you that, I mean, I talk to a lot of, kind of investors, folks on Wall Street, and there has been sort of zero recognition that the Democratic nominee could be Bernie Sanders. And you would think that after 2016, people would be very humble in their predictions. But I think we need to begin to think about that and what that would mean, and what that would mean if you had a Democratic Congress. They talk about big radical change. Well, I think that's what we would get.
Well, it's interesting because there was this Wall Street reaction to many of Elizabeth Warren's proposals, sort of facsimiles of Bernie Sanders' platform, and that started to really marginalize her candidacy. And you're right, there's been a recognition of the disturbing popularity of socialism among people 40 and under, and it's prompted even the likes of Jamie Dimon to speak out against socialism, however imperfectly, as the rent seeker that he is. But yeah, you can't seem to get people to suspend their disbelief that Bernie could actually win, despite how close he came 4 years ago against all sorts of odds in being the nominee.
No, I think you're absolutely. If you're not taking it seriously at this point in a race where, even if you think Joe Biden's a front runner, he's been a very consistent but not impressive front runner, and Bernie continues to hang in there. He will always be able to raise a lot of money. He's not depending necessarily on checks from Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan or any other employees or any of these other banks, and he can win. I think we saw what happened in 2016. If you have a small, super dedicated kind of core of supporters, and people kind of decide that, yeah, they like you, they may not concern if all the numbers don't add up.
You know, there's sort of a countervailing phenomena that's happening too. Maybe it's not reached phenomena stage yet, but I just go to Bret Stephens' piece in the New York Times. We talked about it on the show yesterday. I mean, the limits of never Trumpism, right? Never Trumpism is good right up until it runs into Bernieism for Bret Stephens, and walking back this idea that no. Starting his column saying Trump should be impeached and removed from office. He's a bad man. But if he isn't, which we know he won't be, and it comes down to Trump or Bernie, who is more disruptive to our constitutional order? And Bret Stephens has a hard time ending up on the side of Trump and supporting Bernie.
Yeah. I mean, it also disturbs me that when I see a lot of retweets for Bernie Sanders, they seem to be from people from like retweeting like Russia Today pieces. I find that upsetting. And I just think, and listen, I know the people who love Bernie Sanders, they sort of love his humanity. You know, he's humane. He loves people. He's concerned about the poor. But someone who is unable to say much bad about the Soviet Empire, to me, shows a deep moral blindness or moral failing at the center of his character. And I think it's very unsettling.
Well, has anyone asked him his thoughts about Venezuela and what's going on there?
I'm not sure, but I think the consistent socialist line on Venezuela is that it's because of sanctions and the CIA and that sort of thing.
Yeah, he's sort of bobbed and weaved around. What's going on there is terrible, but that's not the kind of socialism. That's not the kind of socialism we'd have with me as president, and so on and so forth. And then there's sort of these.
His socialism is the Scandinavian socialism, where they have a 20% corporate tax rate, no wealth taxes, and love free trade
and school choice.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I wanted to get your take on this. This is a bit of an esoteric issue, but it speaks to this class dynamic that's and polarization that's happening in this country. There's just a good piece over at the Foundation for Economic Education about the move around the country to marginalize dollar stores, places like Tulsa, Mesquite, Texas, DeKalb County, Georgia, New Orleans. It's sort of like Walmart Redux, where you have middle to upper income suburbs that are making all sorts of contradictory arguments about why a dollar store shouldn't locate in their community to serve lower income people that are just getting by and could use the ability to increase their purchasing power for everyday goods you need to get by. It's just very reminiscent of the Walmart arguments from 3 decades ago about they're taking out mom and pop shops, the local shops. They're at the same time predatory pricers, but also price gougers with respect to their customers who voluntarily patronize these places.
Well, that actually reminds me.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, it actually reminds me of something like Bernie Sanders said, because he said, look, he gave a speech a couple of years ago defining his version of socialism. And he said, listen, I don't want to seize the means of production. I don't want to nationalize, I'm kind of somewhat paraphrasing, your corner grocery store. Well, I mean, for some people, that is the only acceptable form of capitalism, is really like a downtown Vermont, with
right.
a lot of, with there's farmer markets there. That's okay, socialism, and small cutesy stores where you can go antiquing. Bodegas in New York, that is capitalism. That's also the only proper way, a city can look. They have a cutesy downtown with lots of little stores, and everything else is crass, predatory capitalism.
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable because who are these stores serving? How does I think Dollar Tree has like a market cap of $20 billion. It's because they're providing goods to people who need those goods at those price points. They've identified a customer base, and that's a real service organization.
But again, a lot of these people, when those were Walmarts, if they were Walmarts, they would quickly shift back to that old criticism of Walmarts. So again, if the downtown doesn't look like it did in 1955, clearly capitalism is broken.
Yeah. He is Jim Pethokoukis, CNBC contributor, columnist for the American Enterprise Institute. Check out his piece Has Bernie Sanders learned anything over the past 50 years? Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me on, Dan.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Doesn't it seem like things are always getting more expensive? Groceries, the rent, even utilities. Cost of living is up, but Allstate can help lower your cost of driving. With new lower auto rates in Illinois, you get the same high-quality coverage and hands-on expertise from a local Allstate agent. Now with new lower rates, you're in good hands with Allstate.
If you haven't quoted Allstate lately, it's the perfect time. Get a quote today. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Savings vary.
Real travel is life-changing. With Trafalgar, you'll discover the best way to travel and connect with the culture, people, and places you visit. You'll travel with the freedom to discover and the confidence to explore. With over 300 trips on all 7 continents, you get real experiences that you won't find elsewhere.